Welcome into the Cheap Talk Podcast, episode number 4 coming at you. We've got our first position player, Mike Antico, with us, so congratulations on that, I suppose. That's a milestone. Yeah. So we'll talk to Mike here in just a moment, but obviously we've got a big show. Brent will have a segment a little later on for you here on the Cheap Talk Podcast. We kick it off with our center fielder, our everyday center fielder. That's what we were talking about on the walk up here. You don't take any days off, Mike. Are you the Cal Ripken of Peoria Chiefs baseball?
Well, I would love to be. But, yeah, it's an honor to play every day. I love playing every day. Helps me get in a groove, and, as long as I'm able to do it, I'm going to do it.
I love that. And it's setting the table at the top of the lineup. You see Mike in there every day, and obviously we're going to chat about this season. But let's just kind of start with your journey here, right? You grow up out east. You're an East Coast guy. I think that's pretty safe to say. And you play your college ball. You start out at St. John's, Big East preseason player of the year, all the accolades. What do you remember about your time there? What stands out as a Johnny?
As a Johnny, it was unbelievable. I loved it. Being in New York, we were about 20 minutes outside the city, and, I met a lot of great teammates, but most of all was my head coach, Ed Blankmeyer. He really just taught me how to play the game the right way and go about my business and stuff. So with St. John's, we went to 2 regionals my freshman and sophomore year. So we had some really great teams and a lot of great memories. It was fun.
Yeah, what do you remember specifically about that regional at Clemson? Because you get all regional team, and you obviously had a lot of success in that one. And like you said, freshman and sophomore, you're an underclassman making an impact. What do you remember about that one specifically?
Yeah, that regional was probably some of the biggest moments of my young career. I hit a home run in back-to-back games, and, it was just big. We were trying to win anything we can do to win, so I just remember the environment being great. Clemson was awesome. We played Vanderbilt. So, it was just an unbelievable experience.
And then you finish up your career. You took advantage of your grad transfer year, finished at Texas, and had just a massive season, 41 steals. I think that was good enough for second or third in the nation that season. Obviously, I'm sure that was a big decision, and it's a talking point right now in college sports, right? The transfer portal. What was your experience like in there, and how did you settle on Texas?
Yeah, well, first of all, the experience was as good as it's going to get. Going there was probably the best thing to ever happen to me. And, going through COVID and all that, I was just trying to make the right move, and whether that was going into pro ball or, maybe transferring, I wasn't really sure, but it ended up being transferring, and I got hooked up with Texas, and the rest is really history.
Yeah, how much did that 1 year prepare you? Obviously, you're talking about pro ball, and look, you had the numbers to do it, absolutely, but how would you say that 1 year down in Austin prepared you? Because that's a baseball factory.
Yeah, it really is, and I think it sharpened up my game a lot. Prior to that year, I felt like I was ready for pro baseball, but after going to Texas for that year, I think it was much better that I went there, and I learned so much, got a lot of great experience, so I think it worked out well.
So then you finished the 2021 season with Palm Beach, and now fast forward to 2022, and here you are playing every day, as we mentioned. At the top of the order, and obviously your speed is what jumps out if you're looking at the numbers, the 26 swipes, which is right up there amongst the league leaders at the time of this recording. I want to talk about the art of stealing a base, because obviously I didn't steal bases. I rarely got on base. So let's talk about the art of it, because I'm sure everyone just says, "Oh, you're fast," but there's so much more that goes into stealing a base, right?
Yeah, there definitely is, and I think there's an instinct that comes to it, a timing. You just kind of have to have a feel for the game. I try to pick my spots. Some guys are reckless; they'll just take off and steal second, steal third right away. I like to, pick the right time and make sure that I definitely have it when I take it. But I love stealing bases.
So when you talk about all the things that you're trying to kind of process, obviously it's the count, it's how quickly a guy gets to home plate. What specific things are you kind of looking at?
The biggest thing I'm looking at is how quick the pitcher is to home plate. So between pitches, I'll ask our first base coach, Willie Martin, what's his time to home plate? And I know that that magic number. I don't want to give up all my secrets, but I know that magic number, and if it comes up, then I know I got the bag.
It's really that. It kind of starts with that and goes
Yeah.
from there. Now, the thing with stealing a base, right? Like, you do have some freedom. There's times I'm sure that PA will call for a steal, but you kind of have some freedom, right? Like, if you have a good read, you kind of have the luxury to go.
Yeah. Our manager, PA, gives me, the green light.
Yep.
So I'm lucky to have that. And obviously there's situations where it doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Or there's also situations where he wants me to just take it, but he basically just lets me handle it myself. And, it really just comes down to me getting that good jump. If I get the good jump, then I could take it.
And then one of my favorite things, getting down to watch BP with you guys, and I like watching your group specifically because there's always so much chatter going on, and I think that's another misconception in baseball, that during batting practice you're just out there to hit tanks and see how far you can hit a ball, and there's a time and place for that, I'm sure, but you're going the other way, you're hitting behind runners, there's all these things. What can you talk about the BP sessions are like, because I'm just enamored with how much you guys are talking and how much feedback you're picking from LJ and he's picking something from you. What do you guys see each day in BP?
Yeah, that's awesome that you picked that up. But I try to help the guys around me as much as I can because I think it helps me. But for me personally, when I start off, I try to go down that third base line. I try to let the ball get as deep as I can, and it helps me trust my hands. So, anytime I'm watching any of these guys go about their business and I see something that I could help them with, I try to give them my 2 cents, and I think they respect my opinion. And so, yeah, we just trying to help my teammates out, try to make them better, and then ultimately I think it helps me get better.
Yeah, that's something I notice every day. It's almost like I guess you'd be a fourth coach on the roster. Who's somebody that maybe you go to? Hey, the last couple days maybe I've been a touch off or a touch early or a touch late. So many nooks and crannies to hitting. Who's someone you go to? You're like, hey, what are you seeing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I go to probably a lot of different guys because I think everybody has a different perspective. I'll ask a pitcher one day, catcher the next day, LJ the next. Like, me and Willie work together a lot, but PA at third base, he has a different angle of me. So I really get opinions from everybody. Even people that don't play baseball sometimes. Sometimes somebody watching the stands, I would like to see what they think because it's all perspectives and stuff. So I'm really open to anybody's opinion, and obviously then I take it in and assess it myself.
Sure, and you kind of talk about feedback, and it feels like after about every cut, you can right away you have a trigger in your mind. You can tell, hey, that maybe I was a touch off, or that's what I want. I'm shooting the ball to left center. What are a couple things you're looking for in terms of feedback that make you say, I got that ball, or maybe I missed on that swing, I need to recalibrate?
Yeah, the ball will tell you everything you need to know. So, if I get a nice backspin on the ball, preferably in batting practice the other way, I like working that way. So if I'm backspinning balls the other way over the shortstop's head, I know that my swing is in the right spot.
Let's talk a little bit about the pitch clock. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing about that, but we talked to 3 pitchers on here. We haven't talked to a hitter. What is it like from your perspective? Because it sped up the game. We can all acknowledge that. It does feel like advantage pitcher, at least from my perspective. Do you agree? And what have your experiences been through 55 games now?
Yeah, I would say that it's definitely a little rushed in the box. Sometimes we'll strategically call timeout to give yourself some time, but it is a little quick for me. And then I go to watch a major league game or a college game, and it feels like they're taking forever. So, the games are about 2.5 hours, so the games do go quick. But in the box, I think it's a slight disadvantage where things are going really quickly, and then before you know it, you got 2 strikes and that type of deal. But, it could work in your favor, it could work against you, but it's definitely a little rushed.
Yeah.
A little rushed.
Well, you touched on 2 strikes. I made a motion a while back on the air. I want to get your opinion on it. That because you see so many pitches, and you spoil pitchers' pitches, you work your walks, you do all that stuff. I think we should just, in an effort to speed up the game, we should start counts 3-2 on you. Just start it at 3-2 and go from there. Would you be okay with that?
It would make it fair for them, yeah. Because when it's 0-0, I'm in the driver's seat. So full count, it would be a fair game.
Okay.
So, but no, definitely got to start at 0-0. But you're right. I do work counts and stuff. You know, preferably I like to get out early. I think the best pitch is the first or second, but you know, sometimes the umpire or foul ball or whatever it may be, it's not always that easy. So, you know, it's good to work counts, but it's also good to be aggressive early on.
Ambush that first one. Sometimes it's the best one you see.
That's right.
I'm with you on that. Let's look, I think it's pretty clear, right, that you're a leader in the clubhouse. Have you always been a guy like that? Is it something that maybe you've embraced more as you've gotten into pro ball? Because the guys just gravitate to you down there. At least that's my opinion. So what are some of your leadership traits, and is that something that you've always been as you've gone through the game of baseball?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to, like I said before, I try to help everybody, you know, and not that other guys don't, but I think I try to make it a point. You know, when we're doing our work, we're taking batting practice, or in the outfield, or running bases, or it could be anything. And I'm always trying to help guys get better. And I think they just respect that. And I think, you know, when it comes down to the game, you know, guys come to me and ask, hey, what do you think? Or what did you see there? And I'll give them my opinion. And, you know, sometimes when I help my teammates and they see the feedback, they say, oh, this guy might know what he's talking about. So, you know, I think I try to help my guys out, and, you know, it gains a sort of respect from them.
Okay, now we've got to address an earlier comment made on this podcast by Gordon Graceffo, who said that New Jersey is the greatest state in the union. Look, I've never been to New Jersey, okay, so I don't want to, you know, throw it under the bus here, but of all 50, I thought that was a bold statement from Mr. Graceffo. So this is now your opportunity to either defend him or say, hey, man, you know, you're off base. As a New Jersey guy yourself.
Yeah.
So this is all you. The floor is yours.
It's definitely a bold statement. Some people call it the armpit, right? That's what they say. But I'm more so by the beach. So I think the beach is really nice over there. And I think it's good that, you know, we're an hour away from the city, from where I'm at. So for me, it's home. So of course I love it. Do I think there's nicer places in the country? Yeah, for sure. But for me, it's home, and, you know, it always will be. And even though, you know, it gets a bad rap here and there, I'll always be going back every off season, no matter what. And you know, I'll be seeing Gordon too. So
you guys will bump shoulders, I'm sure. Now we do have a question from Noel Posner, one of our account executives, about Delicious Orchards.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Delicious Orchards?
Yeah, that's where I grew up, in Colts Neck.
Okay, so why is that such a big deal? She just said, I need to ask about that. That's all I've got. So can you explain Delicious Orchards to the Midwestern folks here?
It's basically a huge market, homegrown everything, fruits, vegetables, dairy, meat, eggs, everything. And people travel to come there. So they make great, like, homemade stuff, like their bakery and everything. People love it. And I've had family members work there.
Sure.
It's a local place, so, like, everybody loves it. Everybody, like I said, they travel an hour or two to come there and stuff, which surprises me because it's 2 minutes from my house. So, like,
you can walk.
For me, it's always been just, you know, the store down the street. But, you know, people love it. But they do have great stuff. And it's all, like I said, homegrown. So it's awesome.
So it's worth the hype.
It's worth the hype.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. A couple more things, then we'll get you on your way. Colts Neck, New Jersey. That's the hometown here. I was looking Colts Neck up on Wikipedia, and there were about 50 names of celebrities that live in Colts Neck. Let me read you a few here real quick. Jim Nantz, Queen Latifah, Jon Stewart, and Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Can you confirm all of those?
Yes. I've seen Queen Latifah at the movie theater.
What?
And Bruce is definitely, he's very well known around there. He sings about Highway 9. That's you know, the highway right around us. And he's definitely a local legend.
Okay.
And, yeah, they do live there. There's some really nice houses in Colts Neck.
Okay.
So, you know, they probably get a nice house and hide out. It's
Sure.
quiet.
Okay.
So,
'Cause
yep, they do live there.
That's a part of our research. We try to
Yeah.
dabble into all your guys' hometowns, and that one caught my eye.
Yeah.
So, okay, very good. Two more things. One, want to ask you, there's we're on the bus trips a lot of these times. A lot of guys get all dressed up, look snazzy. Who has the most swag on the team?
Well, I will say, before that, Luca Delatri is the best dressed.
Okay.
Hands down. No question.
That's fair.
If we're talking swagger, that's a tough one. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to go with... Actually, I do know. I'm going to go with Mac Chambers, has the most swag on the team. And the close second is Pompito Hernandez. But I think Mac's got it for sure.
All right. I like that.
But best dressed, Luca, he's to the nines every day.
Suit jacket.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. I give him credit. And as always, we've asked everybody this, so we'll get you on the way out as well. Who's someone else we need to get on here? Who's down there in the middle of the clubhouse, stirring the pot, creating a ruckus? Who needs to get up here on the Chief Talk podcast?
Well, you already had Beller. That was a good pick.
Yep.
Graceffo was a good pick. I don't know. You got some characters down there. I would get LJ Jones. You get him to open. Get him to talk. Don't get him serious, though. Get him lighthearted. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, LJ's a character. He's a cool dude down there. But he's kind of quiet, right, at first?
That's what I mean. He can be, but if you open it up,
you'll
get to talk.
All right, we'll keep cracking the shell on LJ Jones. Maybe Tommy Jew's a good one, I've heard.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of requests. But,
yes.
Mike, we appreciate being here, man. This has been a lot of fun, and we enjoy watching you. It seems like you're on base 3 times every night. So keep it up. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you out there right here at Dozer Park, and we'll talk to you next time on the Cheat Talk podcast. Brendan's got the next segment. Keep it locked.
Back here on the Chief Talk Podcast, segment 2, Brendan Howe with you, joined by a very special guest, skipper of the Peoria Chiefs, none other than Patrick Anderson. Patrick, thanks so much for taking the time.
It's awesome to be here.
Absolutely. So kind of just want to get started with kind of your path to Peoria. We've started this question out with everybody that we've had on the podcast thus far, and just kind of fans are wondering how you've gotten here. You spent some time in some different organizations before landing with the Cardinals organization. So just kind of your path through the Royals organization, the national system, what's led you to Peoria?
Well, I'll try to be quick with it because it's a little elongated. I'm 49 years old. I've been fortunate to be in the game for a little while. But,
Sure.
I got a phone call from Allard Baird, who was the GM for the Royals, and asked if I wanted to be a hitting coach when I was in college. And I was coaching college, and I said, heck yeah, it'd be a great opportunity to work in professional baseball. And he was an unbelievable mentor for me. And I started down in the Gulf Coast League down there in Florida. And I just listened to learn, and then from there I spent 8 to 9 years, there, and it was a great experience. And I eventually went to Burlington, Iowa. So my indirect path kind of led me here earlier on when I was in Burlington, because we would play at the old stadium, and when it was the Cardinals there, and then it was the Cubs again, then it was the Cardinals back again when they opened the stadium. So I've been through Peoria. One of my everlasting memories is when Duncan hit a walk-off home run against us in the playoffs. I think I see that on the video, the pregame video of when he hits it, and I'm like, I got to see that every day. But we were in their visiting dugout, and they beat us, 2 out of 3 in that series. But after that, I went back into college. My wife is a head softball coach. She was assistant at Division I school in Long Island, New York, where I was an assistant even before I was in professional baseball. They asked me to come back and offer me the job. And I was there for 3 years and really felt that the professional baseball was allowing myself to be able to be more mobile, being with the higher-end players. And it allowed me to be able to free her up, because she was really seeing a lot of future with her program and her career. So she eventually got the job at Mizzou, head softball coach. And then from there, I went back in professional baseball with the Nationals, and I was managing there in the Gulf Coast League. There was a Gulf Coast League back then in 2013, and then moved in from there, and I was there for 9 years, and I got let go because of COVID. With like a bunch of guys did, because we were all in situations that they were crunching the numbers, and real fortunate to where the Cardinals came calling, and they gave me an opportunity, and I love being here, so I'm excited to be here.
You mentioned your wife is the head softball coach with Mizzou. What's the dynamic there like? At your off days, you kind of not like to talk baseball, softball? Is that kind of something that takes a back seat? Or?
We're very strong-minded people. She's an unbelievable teacher, communicator. I've learned a lot from her. I don't want to sit there and say she's learned a lot from me. You can ask her that, but we go back and forth with a lot of stuff, and it's a different dynamic, than other couples. So it's pretty cool.
Sure. That
we can be able to bounce things off each other, about communicating to players. And I was talking to her about a player last night and this morning, what do you think about this or that? And she's really good with that, and we go back and forth. So it's really fortunate to have that. The X and O's, we have some interesting thoughts back and forth with that. So I've learned to keep quiet. She's learned to keep quiet sometimes, but for the most part, we have a mutual respect because it's our passion, and we love to be able to help kids out.
Sure. You mentioned your stop in the Gulf Coast League. Wanted to touch on that really quick. 49-9 in 2013. What was that season like for you? Did you show up and kind of knew that you had the advantage every day? I mean, winning that many games in that short of a span, that's got to be a good feeling for you.
It was fun to be around. I mean, the coaching staff was great. The players were unbelievable, and it wasn't like we were unbelievably talented. We were very talented, but it was just the discipline of these players, and every single day they went about their business in 12 o'clock games and 90-some degree weather, and waking up at 7 a.m. in the morning. It was a grind, and to be honest with you, when I took over the job, they said, listen, we don't care about the wins and losses. We just want you to be able to teach these kids how to be able to, understand professional baseball and do the right thing, and understand how to be able to go about their business every single day. So it was really awesome to where we got on a roll. I mean, some people, I'm not to get into it too much, but we got no hit in the first game of doubleheader against the Marlins. They had a rehab guy start, and then we went on a 21 games tear after that. And the kids they played and they enjoyed it. They understood. They wanted to get better. They came every day to work, and it was really a fun deal. And everybody was a part of that team. So it wasn't about me and myself by any means. It was a collective group, and people use those cliches, but that was proof of that, and they were awesome to be around.
At that level, you mentioned that you're just trying to get these guys to understand what professional baseball is like. But when you go on a 21-game win streak like that, I mean, what's the vibe like on a day-to-day basis?
They get used to winning. It's playing the game right and being aggressive every single day, and just they came to the ballpark ready to go and hungry, and we were able to really kind of feel that we got ahead of the game in a sense of like preparing things beforehand, and then they actually started coming to fruition, and these players are like, it was easy to be able to react, and they really started embracing the work and understanding it, and their brains were really creative, and it was a snowball in a good way, and this game is so humbling and so hard that it's so many ups and downs. So it was a one direction, and kept moving up and moving forward. So it was awesome.
That season was a good chunk of your 500 wins, which at the time of this recording came on last Thursday against Quad Cities. Was that something that you were cognizant of, that number? I mean, when did it kind of pop into your head that, hey, this is coming close here?
Honestly, and everybody says this, I really had no idea. Like, I think Cody came to me and was like, hey, you got, after the game, congratulations. And I'm like, yeah, awesome. Players played well and won. And I love winning. And these kids talk about winning. But like in the minor leagues, the players go up and down. And it's hard to really have a core group and really kind of feed off of, winning every game. But we want them to be able to develop and understand how to win. And that's really what we're trying to do. And some days you don't have that. Some days the pitchers aren't throwing the ball out well and defensively and the grinds of every day. So it's tough to really do that. So, with all that said, I didn't know. And then he said, hey, we want to interview you. And I'm like, why me? Interview Prater. Like, he's the one that threw 3 innings and busted his tail and helped us bridge the gap to win the game. And he's like, no, because you won your 500th one. And I was like, I had no idea.
Really?
And my wife was like, yeah, that's right. Because I gave her crap one time. I think she had won 200 wins or something like that. And I was like, oh, you're far away from me. And I had no idea. She looked it up. And just because we played more games. And I got a bunch of losses too now. So there's parts of this that it's part of the minor leagues. And, you try to be able to get these kids to really, work hard every day. And hopefully the byproduct of that is to win ball games. And, we're starting to get better, slowly but surely. We're going to go through some ups and downs and lose some games. But hopefully they can understand what it means to win and understand what the Cardinal way is.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you, I mean, we talked a little bit before we came in here today about, some of these games, that if any of them stood out to you. There was one that, we were doing some research before coming on the show today. Back in 2017, you won 22-4. And that's a number 22 that you rarely ever see in baseball. So do you remember anything from that day in Lexington?
I actually do, because it was against the Royals organization, and the wind was blowing out and there was balls flying everywhere. But the most ironic part about that game was Juan Soto was on that team and he had a day off. So
oh, man.
Yeah, like nobody had no idea. He wouldn't even think. You're like, oh, Soto was on the team. Then you look at the box score, he wasn't even there.
He wasn't playing.
It was one of those games. We've always been in through, everyone goes through your lopsided games, and it's just, we were really feeling pretty comfortable and swing the bat really well. And the worst part about that part of the game is that you don't want to show up the other team. You want to play the game right, and we're holding some guys up, but balls were just going out of the ballpark, off the wall, and it was just a barrage. And we've had that happen to us, so I don't brag about that type of deal at any means, but it was fun because we're on the plus side of things, and
sure,
guys got their confidence going, and I think they set some record of hits or something like that.
You had 30 of them in that game.
Really? Yeah.
You scored
a bunch.
6 runs in an inning 3 times, 4 starters at 5 hits, and you can go an entire season without having someone get 5 hits, right? I mean, to have 4 of them in one game, that's pretty crazy. But no, definitely a good game for you guys for sure on the plus side of the scoreboard there. And I kind of wanted to transition things to a little bit from your perspective as a manager, because folks play baseball and they can kind of guess the X's and O's watching the game on TV, what the manager might do. But the perspective is obviously different for you being in those shoes. What do you kind of look for? Because you've been on both sides of the plate, right? You've been as a player and now as a manager. What do you kind of look for that maybe you didn't see as a player?
That's a great question. I mean, there's so many dynamics to this game, and in the minor leagues, is you want to win. You want to put these guys in position to win. You want to get them the most experience, most positive experience, and challenging through ups and downs. So trying to be able to put the puzzle together, it's not always perfect. You challenge these guys. You put them in situations that they possibly be able to execute. And sometimes, the normal fan thinks it's like you're going after wins, you got to do this and that, and sometimes you're going to have to give another person an opportunity, or you're constrained to where he's down to a certain pitch limit, and you got to be able to throw somebody else in there. There's certain times that he hasn't pitched in six days. We got to get him out there because of rain dates. So there's so many variables involved. So to answer your question, for me, I've really, being far away from playing, I forget how hard this game is. They're facing guys 95 plus with crazy breaking balls, and it's tough. And we, as coaches, get frustrated, not so much at the player, frustrated at ourselves because we want so much for them. But we got to sit back and really realize that, man, this is a hard game.
Sure.
Really hard.
Sure.
So, not to ramble on, but I had a guy, and I can't do this ever again, but we had a guy in the stands, wearing our guys out and this and that. And, I think he had a few too many drinks. This was in Burlington or in Hagerstown a long time ago. Sure. And there was a dead time, and he kind of looked at me, and I don't engage anything with man other than just being happy. And I go, hey, why don't you come tomorrow and 3 o'clock and see what it's like? He goes, all right, I'll be there. He shows up. We had him sign a waiver. He faced one of our guys, and within like 6 pitches, he looks at me, and I go, pretty hard, isn't it? And it started laughing because, you'll never, ever be able to do that again.
Right.
I shouldn't have done that a long time ago. But, he sat back and he's been there every Thursday, rooting us on and telling all his buddies. He goes, man, I had a new perspective of the world. So
that's fantastic.
To get the hold. I will never do that again. So not anybody ever has. There's no chance. But it's a very hard sport.
Sure.
And I find myself wanting so much for these guys, and the challenges they have, and the social media where it can be used good for you is what we're doing now. And there's some things that kind of clouded their brain and their mind. They have to do more pressure, feel more pressure. So it's tough. And as a coach, as a manager, they're trying to be able to, get their confidence, but yet communicate and be real with them and understand it's a business, at the end of the day, even though it's a game. So, I've learned a lot with that, and these kids are really good kids. They challenge you every day because you learn how their minds are, and it's tough. You're like,
sure.
what's going on with this guy today? What's going on with this guy? I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many things. We just want them to get out there, enjoy the game, and learn, and hopefully they can make as far as they can.
Absolutely. Last thing before we let you get out of here, Patrick, you had a guest with you this week. Your dog, Rally, which, by the way, is a absolutely fantastic baseball name. Just for the fans that may be wondering, how long have you had her? How'd you come up with that name, first of all?
Rally. All right, I'll try to give you the quick version. She's a pandemic dog. My wife, Larissa, was like, hey, do you she goes, I've always wanted a dog. We have these 2 cats because we're always on the road. And I said, I really want a dog. She's like, okay, we'll go check it out. So there's like a litter of these dogs. And I had Rally in my hand, and then I gave it to my wife. She was just like, we had like 3 or 4 different ones crawling on her. And she's like, get whichever one you want. It's your dog. 2 days later, she like fell in love with this dog. And we laughed because like we've had a few cats, and we've named, one of them was Dinger. I had a dog before a long time. It was Easton, so we have the baseball, softball theme. So we came up with Rally, and we had one of them, a cat named Pickles, because it kept running back and forth, looked like it was in a pickle. So
That's amazing. That's
name,
awesome.
But Rally came to us, and we had one of our players. It was a softball girl. It was this travel team I helped work with. Her and her family came up with it. We had all these people asking us, so really cool. She's my wife was away recruiting, so I said I'll bring her in town. I stay out on this farm, the Oberys, John and Lisa, and they were really gracious to let me keep her. So she's been out in the farm. She's been on the field. She stays in she comes in the clubhouse, and kind of the boys go crazy. They love her.
I was going to say she's been an office favorite this week. I know that she's been out and about and rolling around in the grass. She loves it here. So
Yeah. She's been keeping the peeing and the potty stuff until a minimum. Very good, but it was pretty cool because she's really adapted to the players. The players really love her, and she's had a lot of fun. I think she was a little angry at the first loss on Wednesday. But I think since then, I think we're at 4-1, so she's doing pretty good.
She'll be welcome back anytime then.
Yeah, exactly.
One more thing for you, Patrick. We end the show this way with every guest that we've had. We've talked to 4 players so far. Who's somebody in the clubhouse that you think we need to talk to?
Oh man,
They've got some characters down there.
We do. I mean, there's so many of them. They're all different people and personalities. You can go through every single one. That's a great question. Let me think. I don't want to pinpoint one guy. There's one that I think that is pretty quiet. I think he needs to be able to be. People get to know him a little bit more as Chambers.
Okay.
Mac Chambers. He's kind of a quiet. He's very athletic. He comes from a background. His dad coaches, and he's an interesting young man. He comes to the ballpark very determined, and he's a different personality. So that might be a one to challenge. He might be. See if you can crack him a little bit and get him going. Yeah.
All right, Mac. If you're listening, you're up next, buddy. So this has been Patrick Anderson. Patrick, thanks so much for taking the time. This has been fantastic. We really appreciate you having you here. This has been episode 4 of the Chief Talk Podcast. For Cody, I'm Brendan. This is Patrick Anderson. We'll see you next time.